GRYSKLL.
I was like the resident poet for Fox Sports Radio for like 10 years.
Wow.
There's a local show out here. Pat O'Brien, remember NBA, CBS, NBC, Chris Myers, they all like hosted it and all that. Michael Thompson from the Lakers. And so I like had the gold key to like walk into the radio show anytime I wanted, sit down, listen to the topics of the day, pen a piece that like is in the moment about what they were talking about, and then deliver it live on the air right there. So
that's crazy.
But was I on stage rapping with the DJ? No. But was I using my mastery of rhymes and ability to write quick relevant rhymes about the moment with humor and multis? Yes. And so that's why I was the only one who could do that. And that actually led me to getting a track on Inside the NBA about Kenny Smith.
Wow.
They actually played that during the NBA playoffs, and you had Shaq and Charles Barkley singing "Kenny needs an Emmy, Kenny needs an Emmy." Like that was
what? That was
yeah.
That banana.
So, Rhymecology, dope stuff, man. Dope stuff. I'm gonna try to get that book, The Art of Hip Hop Lyrics. This is mid school. Nice to meet you, Rhymecology.
Mid school pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Should I call you like Jeffrey or Mr. Walker or Rhymecology?
Jeff is good. Jeff is good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know like Philip Drummond.
Philip Drummond from the TV show.
He's also a professor. He worked with you for like a while ago with Dr. Emden. Emden, Hip Hop Ed.
I know Dr. Emden. Philip Drummond sounded like different strokes to me, so I got a little confused. But I don't remember Philip Drummond, but I know Dr. Emden. I know Mickey talks to Dr. Emden, but I'm not I don't know them personally. Like I'm not gonna.
Oh no, I mean I was in Dr. Emden's doctoral class for a while, and he's my mentor.
Wow.
So I found out about you through him. Like Nikki.
Are you serious?
Nikki, yes.
You found out about me through Chris Emden?
Well, Dr. Beats, his name is Philip Drummond. He came through once and he talked about you. Yeah, we chop it down like that. Like John Robinson, the Hip Hop Ed conference.
Yes.
So I presented at the Hip Hop Ed conference, the Hip Hop X conference in Harvard. And we all like in similar circles. So I like a lot of the stuff you talk about in terms of the workshop and the connections to education.
Amazing. Yeah, so you were there, like Wordsworth was there, J. Rawls, all them, right? Like that.
For the Hip Hop Ed?
He was at the Harvard. They were at the Harvard.
No, I was there the year after that.
Gotcha.
I was there the year after that. For the Hip Hop Head, I was there for the one where John Robinson was there, and Gloria Lasson Billings. But your work with the workshops is dope. Can you talk about the connection between education and how you decided to start thinking about workshops? I like the idea of the workshops, the focus on lyrics matter. This is growth. You talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my initial workshops started at like singer-songwriter conferences. My wife was a very accomplished singer-songwriter, toured the world, 8 albums, made a living off living off of singing for a long time. So when we met, she started to drag me to these conferences, and I was like, shit, it's so whack. I'm like, there's like no hip hop here. I'm like everyone's sitting here with a guitar talking about the same thing. It's like so boring to me. But then I started to like, put together my first, little Kinko's manuscript about lyrics, and then And then and eventually, like, I was just able to do like some workshops at these places. And so, of course, I'd be the only one talking about hip hop and the complexities of rhyming. But these artists were soaking it up because, you know, they come from a world, the pop world is like, you know, A, B, C, B rhyme schemes.
Right.
And I'm like, let me just tell you guys something. And so they, you know, they really would get into that. And so I started that's how I really started doing the workshops. And then I, you know, like the old school story, like I was like in the living room, like I would do workshops in the living room here, like 10 people, you know, 5 people, 10 people, who wanted to just learn more about how we rhyme in hip hop and why it's different than what they've done. So it was just like, you know, really grassroots. And then it really kind of started to pop a little bit more. Also, you know, also I've been to like mental health agencies where like I rhyme or teach the therapists about how to use hip hop as a bridge. You know, and done some after school programs, you know what I'm saying? Like going to after school and just Rhymecology for an hour or two after school. So it can kind of go in many different ways, but I think it really started to pop a little more in during the pandemic when I started to do things at home, and I could do the Zoom and I could get people from all over. And, you know, I would do like 4-week workshops where we'd meet every, I don't know, Saturday, Sunday, for like a couple hours, 2-3 hours for 4 weeks. And, you know, get it all teaching. I was teaching all about the rhyme techniques, rhyme patterns, this and that, but also giving them, you know, the Rhymecology stuff as well. And so from there, you know, Mickey came to 1 or 2 of those. And then that's how it led into me basically throwing everything into Pendulum Ink for right now.
That's dope. So in terms of like the rhyme patterns and the cadence, I think that's so crazy because there's so much to go into about that. In terms of lyricism, I see you also talk about timelessness. And I know you talked a little bit about it before. Can you expand on that a little bit? I think this is great. Like I make weird songs also. Like I made a song like Couch Potato, just like crazy stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about what you consider to be timeless?
All right, well, first, when I hear the term timeless, I think of a couple different things. Number one, I think of timeless songs, which will never really age because they were perfect or they came out at a certain time, and they're always gonna be timeless to us. And I think those timeless songs are the ones where you have, you know, the perfect beat with the perfect lyrics, and they also draw upon someone's emotion. So that's the initial thing of timeless. But then I also think of timeless, like, does time really exist? What's past, what's present, what's future, and are they all simultaneous? Like, are they really all happening at the same time? And we just...
By the way, that sounds like a song idea right there.
The snakes in the grass. What I said? The snakes in the grass. I find the skates craziest. Past, present, and future were simultaneous. Like, it was a bar once, but so I may be kind of jumping around. But when you said timelessness, those are the two things that I thought of. Because, you know, the more you really look into it, space and time, like, man, it probably only exists because we think it does. If you go up and out there, it's different. Right. So that's my 2 different things on timelessness.
I mentioned it because when I look up your book, one of the things they talked about is whether people can write songs that pass the test of time. Rather than being a flash in the pan. So much respect and thanks for your response on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's kind of the original answer. The test of time is when you're, well, what's not going to change with any of us and with any of our kids and with any of our kids' kids and with any of our grandparents is we all felt something, right? We all felt something about something. So that you pass the test of time when you write a song that can connect with that, because you know, if you're writing a song about iPhones and Teslas and shit, in 20 years that, you know, that's all going to be gone anyway, right? But something about feeling, something with emotion, your grandparents can respect and your grandkids can respect.
Yeah. Well said.
Is that the reason why I always skip the Sky Pager song off the Tribe album?
Hey,
Wait a minute now. You might have to put that in rotation.
Well, I mean, I could push back on that a little bit, Mr. Rhymecology, because I think like timelessness is defined by what is not set in time. So, you know, just grounding ourselves in the locality of what we do every day also has importance. You know, if I'm like thinking about like in terms of anthropology, I want to know like how the ancient Egyptians took a crap. You know, I want to know what kind of, did they have straws? You know, did they have wood sandals? Who had what was the Gucci at that time? So even the mundane has its importance. So it's a balance in terms of timelessness and, you know, what can be timed.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. You're like, I don't really care how they built the pyramids. I just want to know where they went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
What was you at the time? that's genius.
Right.
Right,
I mean, but as a rapper, like I'm conscious of when I'm putting a date on something that I know that a person gonna be like, okay, he wrote this in 2019. This is why he has those references. But the references won't necessarily refer to 2019. The timelessness is in not the date. That's what I'm trying to like pre-think. If I do date something, I'm knowing I'm dating it, and yeah, the timeless shit, you're supposed to do the homework yourself if you don't know about it. That's what I think. What I mean.
You know, you touched on something too earlier, Jeff, that I had never touched on the show, but it's been something that's been talked about, like in circles I've been in or magazines. You said you went from being a lyricist straight to MC. You skipped being a rapper. How do you see as being the difference between an MC and a rapper? I love hearing people articulate this.
Ooh, very good question.
I feel like rappers are.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those questions.
No, you want to put them on the spot. Put them on the spot.
You don't have to answer it if it feels like one of those questions where it might get funky.
It feels to me like rappers are of the trend of the moment, off of the quick cash, and it's kind of it hasn't. I don't think it's always been like that, but I think there's been a disparity between the two over a little bit of time. You know, when KRS was doing South Bronx, was he an MC or a rapper? Like, you could go either way. Like, you would call him he would work either way. Now he would say, "Don't call me a rapper, call me an MC," because rappers are, you know, there's a certain energy that they're portraying right now, and I'm a grown man, I'm an MC who incorporates all of the elements of hip hop, while rappers might only incorporate barely one. Like some of these rappers can barely rhyme, much less, you know, produce, DJ, dance, break, whatever. So I think I just think an MC is a much better rounded rapper with more tools in his artistic box.
Okay. I respect that. That's what's up, man. It's dope that you use KRS-One, because KRS-One is the first person I heard differentiate between hip hop and rap too, or try to make a distinction between the two of those. So that's a nice little bow.
He said rappers spit rhymes that are mostly illegal. MC spit rhymes to uplift their people. Boom. Can't say that.
Can I throw a quote in there by the great Rakim? Because for me, MC must move the crowd.
Hydro hit that too already in the chat.
There you go.
I'm a little hurt, man. When I heard you starting with that R, I thought you were gonna quote me. I think I feel away now.
You were next, man. You were next.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing on time? I want to make sure we're respectful of your time too, because I know you said
Good.
kids to handle, man. You straight?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say something that you kind of touched on a little bit, but here goes. The unpopular thought process that I have with rap is I'm reluctant to call myself a rapper because it resembles rape. All right, sorry to say that, but then you think about like what on the lines of instant gratification and taking things. This is mine. I'm gonna sample it. Fuck you. That's what rapper kind of, it gave us the bravado to kick in the door and take what we wanted as a culture. That's what I kind of think about when I say rapper. And you kind of touched on that, saying like the instant gratification of being money, or what comes along with it now after the people then laid these hip hop tracks for these rappers to run across. And I think that's why we ended up with like a virtual reality rapper, or everybody rapping the same, or all that redundant stuff. So, and then you got MC, and then they spell it EMCE, which makes it was okay. I mean, that's cool, but the Master of Ceremony seems like a more appropriate title that I probably should. But you know, that's a whole nother bag of tricks. Because then you have MC, which is a gang here in Chicago, so you can't really call yourself an MC. You know what I mean? But you can be an MC, EMC, but who's gonna take the time to figure out how you spell it? You dig what I'm saying? So, yeah, this little bag of tricks there.
Never heard that in Chicago, man. That's a dope little nugget right there.
I've always differentiated rappers and MCs just from MCs. All right, can actually do it for the love. Rappers, they're in it for the business aspect of it. They're in it for like you said, the quick cash. They're in it just to get some clout or whatever. Whereas an MC, I'm rapping because I love to rap.
Like if you think about like the Most Def with his backpack on in the park rapping, like that's just, you just look, you're like, that's an MC right there. Like he's a great rapper, but you look at him, you're like, that's the difference. Like that's an MC. And you know, to be honest, like that's the whole Brown Sugar is kind of about that. Like he's the MC, and then the Dalmatians, they were just rappers, right?
The Dalmatians, yeah.
You got a shout.
Oh my
like,
God.
So that's kind of you know, it's a general, it's, you know, maybe a little generalized, but it's, you know.
I think back in that golden era, MCs, rappers, however you want to call them, weren't getting respected as artists. Oh, like, I'm a rock star, I'm a rock and roll player, you know. Oh, he's just a rapper. You know, and I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, that distinction was made. Like, yo, I'm an MC. Whoever came up with the phrase to use it in hip hop was genius, you know, because of the spelling, the phonetics, different things of that nature. But at times, I think that could be a problem because we're not hip hopping, right? Like somebody's like, yo, you doing that hip hop thing? And I'm like, what? I'm like, hip hop is a culture. We are rapping. That is the action we're taking. It's a raw artistic performance when you're rapping. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't want to take it like, yo, the rappers is just for the moment, flash in the pan, like he's worrying about the business aspect, because I'm an MC. I consider myself an MC, but I'll get in a cypher with whoever in Chicago and Cali. I'll adapt my vernacular. I'll switch up my accent. I'll get into their rhyme pocket, whatever you want to call it, because I'm a rapper, I'm an MC, so I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna do that. So at times I think the terms, you know what I'm saying, there's things that people put whatever, you know, emotion or thinking into, when at the end of the day, hip hop is like the most inclusive, love showing genre of music. Like we accept a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, that wouldn't probably, that other genres aren't accepting of, like as accepting within their own genres. So with hip hop, I was that way once, where it was like, yo, these dudes not saying nothing, they just talking. Like, how many times can drill rappers make certain songs when they're using this, like it's always this, we're talking about this type of stuff all the time. The words, like Jeff said, are being repeated all the time. And then what I said to myself is like, okay, but you have graffiti artists, you have muralists, you have calligraphy, you have, you know, people that doodle, and then you got people that just draw just because. So it's like, for me, it's like, it's an art form with many different aspects and many different genres and subgenres. So I've always felt like people have made those distinctions almost like with some disdain towards one another, when at the end of the day, like, I love it all, you know. I love the rapidy rap, miracle rap stuff, and I love the ratchet shit. Like, I love the Griseldas and the West Side Guns and the Conways, and they talking crazy. And then I love Pop Smoke stuff. I love XXX stuff, emo rap, you know. So it's all hip hop.
I think the distinction started coming in too, in my opinion. I feel like the distinction started coming in when people started coming in just because it was a money grab and they didn't have any respect for the art or the culture. I think that's when people started to feel it was important to make a distinction and say, hey, we're not them and they're not us. And not to say whether that's right or wrong, but I definitely understand the need to say, hey, don't confuse me with that, because I don't have a choice. I have to do this to feel right.
So we saw the Locks versus Dipset. And that versus who were MCs and who were rappers.
Right.
Yeah, they laid it out right there. That was a perfect example.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push back. I'll be the devil's pitchfork advocate. that if that battle was just on wax and you had no performance, it's different. Like what the Locks do, they do very well because they're the Locks. What the Dipset do, they do very well because they're the Dipset. Like, the Dipset, in my opinion, are pioneers of like East Coast rappers and rappers who can be lyrical or say something very creative, rapping over the down south, what rappers in the South rapped over. So
I won't argue with you yet.
But as far as yes, that day on that stage, of course, because you know, you're not supposed to rap over your lyrics, period. So as soon as you start rapping over your lyrics, you're not doing some MC-ish. You know
so if we look at people like
Yeah.
the Little Baby,
Yeah.
and to be clear, I don't mind the Baby or Lil Baby. I'm starting to like Lil Baby more than I care to admit, honestly. But if we look at them and their performances, all they do is rock over their songs. So
they're entertainment.
Are they not MCs?
They're moving the crowd. They're moving the crowd.
MCs.
I would say they're moving the crowd and they're mastering the ceremony.
Yeah.
But are they, you know?
But we just said 10 seconds ago that if you're rhyming over if you're going over your tracks, that's
so you know what?
Kind of a black guy, right?
What? But I have seen the Baby rap without his lyrics. You know what I mean? Without an ad-lib.
Again, I think he's dope. Yeah. I like the Baby and Lil Baby. I think they're both dope.
Yeah.
I think they're both dope.
So
I would say with that distinction, you know, when you're talking about the Locks Dipset battle, they lost that, and you had one group that was clearly polished as well, though, like in shape, like clearly out there with some cohesiveness because they're into it, and you could tell that the other guys, like they're like, you know, they're like on that run where it's like they're living off of the fame and living off of a lot of things that they did in the past. They're not like the Locks are still in the studio, still putting out albums, still very, very into it. Dipset is not doing that. That's why Dipset was like, yo, what are you doing? We're not at SOBs. Like, this ain't that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, from their standpoint, they were like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, we're not hip hop and we're not MCs. Like, yo, I'm 40-something years old. Like, I'm tired. I'm like, no, I'm not rapping over every song like that. So, yeah, we gonna be technical. Let's be technical about it. They're MCs. They not elite level MCs in that regard.
I can take
Hey, wait, you know what, Hydro, let me help you out, bro. Don't let one down bully you into that corner. They are MC. Do not let one down bully you into that
first
corner.
Off, I do no bullying, first off.
Because
Dipset is the energy. They just didn't have that energy. They have the energy.
I think what happened was...
I'm a fan of both.
And I think you can be. I think you can be. But I think what we saw was what MCs, what polished professional respect for the culture MCs do versus, to your point, cats that was living off of basically who they are.
But once again, I can say this. Jimmy is on fire. Jimmy ain't dropped. Jim Jones has not dropped anything whack ever. Like, I'm talking about album-wise, he gets busy. So again, what I'll say is I don't want to diminish what Dipset was, because they can never lose that luster. But yeah, they're not on that elite level. You know what I mean? There's levels to it.
Dipset is
the reason I say
we're having this conversation as though, like, even if a rapper is rapping just for the glory or whatever, or MC are rapping for the love or whatever, we can still love all of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's still a distinction there. Like, I rock with Too Short. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like, I'll listen to Too Short all fucking day. I consider him hip hop.
Yeah.
But I listen to a lot of cats that you know, like, I listen to a lot of trap music. I listen to a lot of drill. I listen to African trap and drill. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what the fuck they're saying, but the shit is dope to me. You know?
If you just heard Too Short the first time today, what would you think you would fuck with him as much, or is it because it brings up nostalgia?
So I have this so for me, I would still rock with him today, because I have this thing where I need a balance of extreme ignorance and my consciousness or whatever. You know, like, I need that balance. I can't.
Great way to say it.
June, is he the equivalent of Buster with the B word for you? Is that where
Probably.
He's so artistic with the B word. That's my.
You know what's dope too is that if, like, Jeff could do what he's doing with dudes that's not super lyrical, because you don't have to be super lyrical to say some real life shit.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, like, that's the thing that I also want to highlight, is that, you know, he knows high level technical, because he identifies it too. Like, we'll sit there and be like, oh yeah, yo, did you hear this? Like, that was that. But then it's like, all right, cool, that aside, what was he talking about? What was he saying? What was he doing in there? What do you think he was talking about in there? And that's the dope-ish, that when you listen to some real rap and have like 30 people give 30 different perspectives on that real rap. And some of them sound similar, but a lot of them don't, because you get in 30 different perspectives. And that's the reason why I can love and appreciate the rapper dudes too, quote unquote, because they'll say some stuff like the baby will say something and it's like 30 songs, but there's a couple songs in there where he's talking about something real, like with his brother, his, you know, family member, that I don't have to be going through that to experience it. Like, similar to other MCs from yesteryear, like a DMX, who's not saying something crazy lyrical, but yo, son, I can feel his pain. You got people that's feeling like we was in the hood playing Eminem, bro.
What's
Yeah.
that?
What about the Vanilla Ices? You give them the same level of respect?
Yo, I was rapping along karaoke style with Vanilla Ice when that was out. I didn't know that. I didn't know no better. I was a little kid.
Right, but I'm saying now that you know, what hip hop is. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
same
think.
respect.
Yeah, I give Vanilla Ice respect still.
Yeah,
Because-
as an artist.
I would give some.
As an artist,
Yeah,
yeah, because he did that. He contributed to that piece of art. I don't know what he
Exactly.
wrote.
But it was
Yeah.
it was his
I don't
time
know
to
what he
shine.
wrote.
Like he
I
had
don't
his
know.
yeah. I just
Yeah,
think
I
it was
don't-
his time to shine, like Hydro. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, like at that
Yeah.
moment when like
Yeah.
if you could dance, like him and Hammer, like they were dancing and rapping, like it was like
No.
that was their moment.
Right.
mm-hmm.
That's
I-
right. That's
And
I
right.
can tell you
was-
this. When the Ninja Turtles came out, Ninja Rap, I was going crazy because I'm like, yo, there's a rapper in the movie doing this. And then
That was
on the
hot.
and then on the flip side, I had the MC Hammer dial, bro. Like I was like, yo, I want this for Christmas,
That was
grandma.
hot.
Like, what are you talking about? MC Hammer was a superhero to me. Like
That's
I could
right.
buy a wrestling dial and I could buy a. So that's what I mean. Like you're gonna have some people that are gonna be like, yo, MC Hammer, ha ha ha. And then you're gonna have those guys that are like, yo, you know what happened to such and such with clowning MC Hammer?
Mm-hmm.
Like MC Hammer pulled up on him.
And not to mention MC Hammer like was just like a kid like who would be breaking in front of like the Oakland Coliseum. He went from
Yo.
that to what he became. Like that's a crazy success story.
Yo,
Yeah.
real talk. I wish more of these young kids was more MC Hammer than
Mm.
super thugged out.
Mm.
I wish more of these kids was more Vanilla Ice than Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I won't argue with you on that. Yeah, you got a point, bro. You got an absolute point.
Because you're ridiculed for not being a destructive person. Like Vanilla Ice wasn't talking about killing nothing or doing nothing crazy, or even if he said it, and if he said a bar or two here that came across aggressive, it's like, all right, cool, because in the overall scheme of what he's saying, he's not saying that. And yeah, he definitely was privileged because of who he is and how he looked and stuff of that nature. But yo, I've heard plenty of interviews.
He
and
made a
seen
dope
things-
song though.
Yeah, and I also seen plenty of interviews and things where he had people that was around him that was like, yo, like we know him, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not like he just popped up and jumped on a poppy record. Like he had a story too where he had to work to get the way he got to. So I don't downplay anybody's struggle or their story, you know what I mean? Like
He is still working. He was still
working to this
working,
day.
like doing all kinds of things just to keep his name going. While so many people who might have been one-hit wonders completely went into a whole nother world. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm still hustling. So he's got the work ethic is there. By the way, I opened up for Too Short once.
hey,
At a party.
Wow.
But I had to do it in
Really?
my style. I had to do it in my, like, it was my boy somehow was able to get him to perform at his 40th birthday party. And so, like, yeah.
Did you say bitch?
My friend makes some money. But
Did you say bitch?
no, I did a whole piece where I told a story using all of his song titles.
Okay.
While incorporating it to my own feelings for him as one of my first favorite artists when I lived in the Bay Area as a young guy.
And that's
Wow,
exactly
well
what I mean.
Well
like he
That's-
wasn't
you know,
rapping
I'm
no
mentioning-
lyrical.
Paula and Janet and
Yeah,
you know,
come on, man. But yo, Jeff, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. Like he wasn't lyrical miracle in anything, but he
Yeah,
is
but
your favorite. He's one of your favorites. He's one of the like ignorant dudes from my hood's favorite, and also some of my nerdiest people. Like that's the dope shit about hip hop is like
yeah.
people can make something and so many different people could be like, yo, that shit's dope. And then so many people could be like, that shit's trash. Like,
But I think the cool thing that you guys can appreciate is like he was so unlyrical, but then like it wasn't lyrical, but he was what he was. And so what was cool was I able to incorporate, like I did with Fox, some of these dope techniques and like then make a rhyme like where I might say, yeah, I remember the day I also met Blowjob Betty. And then like instead of like he would only rhyme Betty, but I'm rhyming like met blowjob Betty, you know what I mean? And so like being able to incorporate that is pretty fresh.
I got a question. Yes, I'm glad you said that. Can I ask this question? I think in my my thesis is that Eminem was able to take it's kind of like speaking two languages. You know what I'm saying? I think why Eminem excelled in rapping, you said like bad, ed, d, you know, all the words. I think that's the syllable that, you know, what do you say? Like not black people. The other one, I don't want to say white people, but you know, Caucasian. You know when people say, "Oh, when you talking
I'm
white."
I'm Caucasian and I'm white, so either one.
Right, right. Okay, cool. No. So you know how people say. So to come from that dialect, I think he had that dialect, but he had where he was using that in his rhymes. I think that's why it blew our mind so much, because he would hit all of those points that we knew were there, but we just kind of gloss over with slang. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying the or the, we say the or that.
So you're saying he kind of like. He stressed more syllables.
Yeah,
and
the same way you said you did with Betty. You know, with that bar. I think, and that's what makes him such an intricate writer. He hits us. He hits us in so many, you know, rhyme schemes all in one sentence. And I think you're similar to that. You nailed those points. You know, that's very. Like I mean, I don't do that, but you know.
The time that he came out was perfect. You know, dirty, rotten rhymer, cursing at you players worse than Marty Schottenheimer. Like the way, like the way he was matching his syllables with the punches and the multis, with the you say for days if you shave your legs with Renee's razor blades. It doesn't matter what color you are. You're saying that like people who write, we're like, oh, that's skill. Like, you know what I mean? Like you'd be safe for days if you shave your legs with Renee's razor blades.
And when you rapping like that, it sounds better than when you're just rapping the end word of, you know, when your focal rhyme is just the end bar. Yeah. That shit, you know, it's easy for that to get like monotonous. For you to get tired of it.
Monotonous.
Like, monotonous. Like I don't remember what it's called, but there's one that Mickey shared with us recently in one of our homework lessons or something. And for like 3 minutes, something crazy, bro. He was like, I can't even describe what he was doing, fam, but he was rhyming multi-syllables and also rhyming word like what we call shadow boxing and interlinking. Like he was just going.
Was that a Mickey track?
Yeah, the Mickey track where he was like, where he said something about, he had said something like, it had like an old soulful loop to it, and he was like something from how Cradle made it, Fado faded, faded. Like he was just going crazy for like 3 minutes straight, where it didn't sound like anything you was gonna get tired of this shit. Like you was just like rewinding it, so because you missed a lot, because he was doing so much. It is like, but it to the ears, it sounds so good when you're doing something different than what everybody else is doing.
That's why I like Lupe so much. Yeah, though. I feel like Lupe is
Lupe's last album, this last project he had, is crazy, because it's like, yo, how is this dude still rapping like this? And
Mickey said it took him 3 days to write.
Yo, Mickey just wrote an album, I think, like over a weekend, he said.
Yeah, there's levels to this.
Crazy, bro. But again, when you rhyme in a certain way, when you think a certain way, that's another thing too. Jazz musician in my area was telling me, yo, when we're jazz musicians, we gotta learn, we got notes and stuff, and we doing like 4 counts and all this different stuff, right? And before you know a song, sometimes when you're doing a jam session, you just freestyling and you just playing stuff. And it's like, that's like high level mathematical stuff that you're doing. It's the same thing with writing and freestyling and coming up with, like how Jeff said, oh, what happened today? I'm about to write a poem about that. That's not regular. That's not easy. Normal people don't do that. Normal poets don't do that. Normal rappers don't do that. Like, that's high level to be able to absorb. So that's the thing that I tell people now. If you want to become a better rapper, writer, MC, learn more, read more, absorb
Mickey
more.
Factz. On bars today, I'm usually the one rocking a poem. I'm going ball to say yeah.
Talk to him.
That's the joint.
Are they playing it?
Oh, was I doing that?
Yeah, you want to rock
Oh,
it?
okay.
My bad. I was trying to.
I thought you about to start going in, son.
I was thinking to myself. I was thinking to myself of kind of like layers, and I was thinking, I'm like, what did I say in that track with Mickey? And I was thinking of the layers like in the first quatrain, and I was like, they want bars today. I'm usually the one rocking a poem. Going bald, you say? Yeah, I come off the top of the dome. In the zone, playing jazz records, locked up at home. You see me and Mickey together. That's Stockton, Malone.
Okay.
So like, so I was like, listen, I was like, like you'll catch the Stockton Malone, then maybe you'll catch the. I said I'm playing jazz records, but then locked up at home was 2020. And then also you get locked up at home when you're playing defense, which goes back to this, you're locking someone up playing defense. And then, you know what, me and Mickey, in the zone, playing jazz records, the zone where you play defense, when you lock someone up in the zone playing jazz records, locked up at home, you see me and Mickey together, that's Stockton, Malone, white, black, like, so within one quatrain, I'm just thinking like, there's so many different things. And like, if you're
Not
lucky,
to mention the Utah Jazz. I mean, gotta add that.
Squad back then too, when it was Stockton Malone too. I had the jacket, I had the starter jacket and all. So yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention the Jazz. You know what I'm saying? Right. The Utah Jazz.
that's kind of like the first layer. And so yeah, that's what I was at home during 2020 playing jazz records. And so like, there's like literally like a double meaning right there.
King of that on our crew.
Hey, yo, I just want to say to all of you gentlemen, have the most blessed, peaceful night. To Jeff, I got to dip out, but I want to say to Jeff, man, thank you so much. You're inspiring and motivating, man. And through Jeff and Pendulum Ink, I'm going to be teaching, Pendulum Ink curriculum to middle school kids, and much more.
Congratulations.
Hey, Hydro, Hydro, hang for 45 seconds if you can hear. Listen, Lou, you want to play that the verse then?
Yep. Hold on.
Yeah. And I'm going to be teaching next year the evolution of rhyme.
Word. And you know what? Now that, and while we in these spaces, man, I know what mental health means. Like, me, I'm gonna definitely kick it with you off. You know what I mean? Off the matrix, Jeff, because the same way. I've been building with you guys, what you're doing and what you continue to do is I feel like it needs to be seen and heard by more people.